Okay, you guys, I'm back here live. My connection just cut out. I'm super sorry. So if you see it pop up there, you should be able to click on it. Oh. No. So I'm gonna let you guys come on for a second. So you guys, I just told you guys about a little surprise that I have a follower, and her name is Sue Swirls. Hope I'm saying that right. And for her birthday gift, her daughter bought her tickets to come see us in Atlanta, Georgia. And so we just did a surprise to her. And I'm hoping she'll come on. I want to talk with her on camera a little bit.
Sheila says sorry it was her singing.
Yeah,
Probably
sorry.
threw it off.
Facebook knows. They get like a warning alert that something sounds like a howling dog and they shut it down. They know. Nobody wants to watch that. No, I don't know. My signal cut out, but it was actually good timing because I didn't have my camera on the right orientation to have anybody else paint with me. So I hope they'll come back.
She's on, but I can't get it. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Hang on, guys. Yeah. I don't even have the button to open it up. You're back. Hang on, Kelly, I'm trying, but I don't have the button to open it up for viewers to join me. No. Now I'm just pushing buttons on me.
Well, you're pretty good at that.
Yeah. You guys want to see Sean and
No,
I?
I'm
Ooh,
clear.
that's a great hair day. Let's pop that up a little bit. What's this? Ooh, a filter.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's nice.
How about that? No?
No?
No, that's not the button I was looking for. Let's turn that off. Okay. There we go.
Now you're just being crazy.
I don't know. I'm at a loss right now. Okay, well, Kelly, I can't get you on, sweetie. I can't get you on with me, but I'm going to turn it back around. I'll let Sean go because he's tiling for me and I don't want to ruin a good thing. But you guys, but Kelly, come on and tell us, did she hear, was she there for your surprise? I'm sorry I can't get you on, sweetie. I totally want to put you on. So, we're sending Sean back to go paint.
You mean to tile? I don't paint.
To go tile. I'm going to paint. He's going to tile. Between the two of us, we'll complete a project today, I swear. I don't know. I pushed the button 1,000 times, but it doesn't come up. So, Kelly, did she see? She's so excited? She's so excited. Please, if you got a video, will you share it? Because I think that was the sweetest idea. And you guys, I do live video announcements for the bargain basement price of $59.95. Just kidding. It doesn't cost you anything.
$59.95.
$59.95, but I'll discount that by $59.95 if you ask me.
It's 100% off coupon.
We're running a 100% off special right now. No, I was so honored to just be asked to be part of it. So I'm even more excited to meet you guys. Now when you come up, and send it to me, yes. When you come up and introduce yourselves in Atlanta, I'll know who you guys are. So that's really cool. I'm honored to be part of the surprise. But it's a great gift too, because you guys will get to spend some time together. And it's a really memorable weekend. The feedback that came out of New Jersey was spectacular. People really enjoyed themselves. And I always enjoy myself. I end up crying at the end of the weekend. Number one, because I'm a crier and I'll cry over everything. But number two, it was just this huge outpour of emotion. Like we were so exhausted but so like elated at the same time. It's the weirdest feeling to teach those. You're so tired and you don't want it to end at the same time. Do you know what I'm talking about? That feeling? Hey, Terry. Terry knows. Terry came to Ontario with us. Kelly wins tonight. Kelly does win tonight. Number one, she didn't have to hear Sheila singing. But Kelly and Sue get to come to Atlanta. Kelly is her daughter. Sue is the mom. And Kelly bought tickets to come to Atlanta. That's her mom's birthday gift. So thank you for letting me be a part of it. But anyway, I'm actually going to paint with you guys. You got your ticket. Yay, you got your ticket. It's going to be amazing. I'm thrilled to be a part of it. Anyway, I really am going to paint with you guys tonight. I don't come on my own page nearly enough to paint. I paint every Thursday evening on the Dixville paint page. But it kind of means I neglect coming live on my own page just to paint with you guys. So I'm going to come on and just paint tonight. This is the dresser I'm working on. It's a, I'll flip my camera up a little bit. It's this little high boy. So it was pretty plain. This is the one I showed you guys on my post the other day that had all the faux painting on it. On these wood details here, it was faux painted to look like bird's eye and burl. But once I stripped it all back, that was all paint. So I'm actually down to the real wood now, and I painted in a little bit with stains to shadow it a little bit. But I need to put a second coat on it. It is super cute, but it was really plain. And so I added some molds. So this is a mold. These are by Redesign with Prima. This is a mold. This is a keyhole mold, another mold, another mold. And there's one more down here. So I added some molds to it because it needed some extra interest. And now I'm going to paint it. But you know what I need to do first? I need to seal my wood. I need to seal this wood so I can paint around it. And then if I get paint onto my wood, I can wipe it back. So I need to grab my gator hide really quick. Where do you go to get the tickets? If you go to Bells and Bow Tour, B-E-L-L-E-S, and Bow, B-E-A-U, tour.com, you can find all the information, all the tickets. There's also a Bells and Bow Tour Facebook page, and that has all the information on there too. The hotel that we're all going to be staying at. There will be a shuttle that runs from the hotel to the event center that it's going to be at. So all that information should be there. Let me go grab my gator hide, and we're going to seal this wood first, and then I can paint around it. Where is my gator hide? I just had it out last night. Really? Here it is. I found it. Okay. So when I have wood details like this, I like to seal my wood so then I can paint around it. On my gator hide. And gator hide needs to be stirred before you put it on, because it won't go on evenly if there's particles settled at the bottom of it. So I get a stir stick and I dig up all the goo from the bottom and make sure it's stirred into all my gator hide. Every time I use this, don't shake your clear coats because it can cause bubbles and then it won't go on as smoothly. Janice, you gotta come. I totally wear my overalls. I don't just wear these on camera for you guys. I live in these things. They're like my painter's uniform now. What do I use to make my molds? I took a video of me making them. And I'm doing a series right now on my page, you guys, of different ways to make molds. And at the end, I'm going to reveal to you my favorite way to make molds. But because you guys are watching me right now, I'm going to tell you guys live. Resin is the best way to make molds. That's the grand finale of my 4-part series that I'm putting out right now. So far I've done hot glue, paper clay. I'm going to use the modeling material, and then I'm going to use resin. 2-part resin, super easy. I did a video on it. It's coming. But look at how clean your molds come out. This is a mold with resin. Do you guys see how crisp? There's like a fleur-de-lis in there. Looks like a face kind of. Do you see how crisp those details on? You're going to be there, Janice. You're going to be there. There are some people whose names I see all the time, but to meet you guys is, I mean, once in a lifetime opportunity to meet some of these names that have stuck by me for so long. You need some comfy ripped overalls. Look how ripped these are. You guys see the size of that hole? And I swear it just gets more ripped. They started out with like little rips so it looks fashionable, but I don't think they really expected that people work in these. And the more I work in them, the more ripped they get. Anyway, back to my resin. This is a mold cast with resin. Can you guys see how crisp this detail is? It's flawless. Has a little bit, this one's been drying overnight, has a little bit of flexibility to it, so I can get it to bend if I've got a curved drawer. I either would clamp it on the ends or tape it down. You can also heat it up to regain some of the flexibility to it, but 2-part resin is like the only thing I use to make molds unless I want it to crack a little bit for a really old world look. And then I'll use the modeling material. And then the cracks are great if you have a distressed look with dark wax and You want more character, but when I want just clean, crisp, flawless molds, so these are all resin molds. And then this dries in 10 minutes, so I can make a ton of these. In fact, I'll show you guys my box. So if I pour extra resin, and some of these are different colors, let me show you one. This one here. Just because I did them with different brands. That's the only difference. So one is like a little more yellowy. That's just a different brand of resin. I started ordering it from a commercial industrial supply place. This is the craft store version. It's more white. This is the industrial supply. Just because I can get it in like gallon jugs and I do enough pieces that I need large quantities of it. Adhere it with wood glue. Adhere it with... Sheila, you should know this. You should know everything I've said by now. You don't know what I adhere my molds with? Tight bond. Quick and thick. I just like saying quick and thick. This is my favorite because it's quick and it's thick. I know, you'd never know, huh? Quick meaning that it sets up quickly, and thick because if you have thin glue and you put this on the front of a piece and your glue is thin, guess what this is going to do? It's going to start migrating down slowly. You can tape it with thin glue, but then even your glue starts to migrate down. It will tend to drip. So this is thick, so I get less drips, and it sets up quickly. Okay, I had to remove a mold yesterday that I had glued with this. Do you know what I had to do to get it off? I know this works because I've had to remove it too. I had to get it off with a chisel and a hammer and then sand it, and it took me forever. So I know this works. I know this works. It's from Home Depot or Lowe's. Quick and thick. Quick and thick. Sean would make so many jokes about that. I'm glad he's not out here. You're helping people. Sure, whatever. Okay, so back to what I was saying. I make molds. This is my box, my secret box of molds. Okay, some of these are because I have done videos, like when I was making, these are my hot glue molds. I do videos and I'll just save the molds if I don't really need them. Some of them are because if I'm pouring a mold and I've poured extra resin, I will just pour little keyholes just so I'm not wasting any resin that I ever mix. I'll have little ones that I just pour, and then I just throw them in my box and they're nice and flat so I can save them for later. You're making jokes about quick and thick. I know, I want to. Trust me. Let's take them offline, Sheila. Can you share the name of the place you get redesign from? Dixie Belle. Dixie Belle, Jennifer. Dixie Belle carries the redesigned molds and transfers. They have a variety on their site. You can also go to redesignwithprima.com, and that will tell you if you have a local retailer in your area, and you can go to them. If your retailer does not have something in stock, ask them for it. Tell them, I found, a particular mold on the website, whatever it may be. I found a mold on the website. Do you have this in stock? They may say no, but I can order it. Your redesign retailer can order these, but check Dixie Belle. Dixie Belle has a lot of them in stock. If not, check your retailer too. Can't waste any. No, I'd never waste my resin. So some of these are mistakes too, where I've poured, let me find an example of a flawed mold. Where I've done a pour and I say over poured it or under poured it, or here's a funky one. The star has this little, I hope this video is clear. Can you see this little tiny lip right here? I over poured the mold, but I'll save this because I can hold it up to my piece and say, this one looks good. I'll pour another one. So this lets me have samples that I can just fit on my piece. Does this look good? No, yes it does. I'll re-pour it. No, it doesn't. Let me try another one. So I've got all kinds that I've poured. This is another mistake one where it came out kind of lumpy. Where do you get the resin from? Great question. So this is amazing casting resin. Sorry, I'm just answering questions right now. I am going to paint tonight, but you guys, if you have questions, come on. Can just be a Q&A session. So what I show you guys is this here. It's called Amazing Resin. It's available at Hobby Lobby, at Michael's, at Joann's. This is on the shelf in the crafting stores. It's about $20 a box, but these two bottles do, you get a lot of molds out of this. It doesn't look like a lot. Let's see, these are 8 ounces each, so 16 ounces of molds. When will my video be up, Kathy? Tomorrow I'm going to show you with modeling material, and the day after I'll show you the resin video. So I'm kind of giving each one a day. So far you've got hot glue, you got paper clay today. Tomorrow I'm going to give you modeling material, and Tuesday I'll give you resin. So you get a 4-part series showing each of those materials, and then you can decide like, oh, that looks easy. I've got, you know, this one on hand. This is what I'll use. But people ask a lot, what's the best thing? My personal favorite is always resin. When I'm in Scotland, oh my gosh, I would love to be in Scotland. After the tour, I asked for all these molds for my birthday. The molds are awesome because you can use them over and over and over and over again. Have you guys seen my collection of molds? Hang on, I'm going to show you guys. My collection of molds is no joke. Ready? These are all my redesigned molds. This is a dream, you guys. This is a dream. Because when I want to pick a mold, I will just go through here and I shop it like a card catalog. And I can pick out the one I want. But this is my collection of molds right here. Super heavy, by the way. Totally worth the investment. They're silicone molds. They're by Redesign with Prima. See their little logo up there? I know, I'm living the dream, right? I love molds. I think I'm even missing a few too. Do I use all of them? Heck yeah, I do. Heck yeah, I do. Because I'll go through. Sometimes I want a flower mold. Sometimes I want a filigree mold. You know, it just depends. But I've got all styles. So this one here, I've got a fleur-de-lis down here. These are all different molds too. I've got this kind of big one here. This is a separate keyhole mold. I've got 4 different silicone molds there. That's the occasion. Dana, we announced tonight, doesn't the resin smell terrible? It doesn't smell at all. It has no odor whatsoever. No odor whatsoever. I think resin has a stigma that it's tough to use. Do you guys want to make one? I'll just do a pour right now. Do you guys just want to do a pour? Because actually I do have one I need to pour a bunch more of. So I'm working on a piece that I'm going to put these circles behind my hardware. So I drill out this center with a drill, and then this goes behind my knob, and it just makes the knob look pretty. So do you guys want to do a pour right now? I'll show you how I pour. So when you get these, oops, I'm going to fall off my seat. When you get these in the box, it comes with a part A and a part B. You move to the next person. I had coffee today, you guys, and coffee, Brandy, was probably be what I think is like when I'm drunk. I don't know. I don't drink, so I don't know. So my brain is going a million miles an hour just because I've had coffee. I'm very sensitive to it. Has no smell. But our surprise was I have a follower named Karen. I think I keep calling you Karen. It's Kelly. And she got her mom for her birthday tickets to the Bells and Bow tour. So they did a scavenger hunt today, and I got to announce that she got a trip to the Bells and Bow tour for her birthday. So we did that at the beginning of the video. If you missed it, go watch. She's going to send me a video. You love coffee, Brandy. I'm fun on coffee. And I hope she'll let me share the video with you guys too. So let's do a pour. In case you missed me pouring 1,000 molds at the Bells and Bow tour, let's pour some molds. Let me clean up my space a little bit here. Move my stool so you can see me. This will be my little table. Okay, I've done a million of these. I don't even measure anymore. Thank you. Minda, that's a pretty name. Minda, where are you from? Because that's a really pretty name. I haven't heard that before. I was going to call you Mindy at first, but... Okay. So it comes in a part A and a part B. And it does come with little measuring cups. However, I don't really use them anymore. So let's just do a pour here. So it's a 1-to-1 mixture. So I will look at my bottles and know that when I'm done pouring, I want them roughly to the same point. So I'm going to pour a little bit of this one, my A, and a little bit of this one, which is my B. Okay, I hope those are pretty close. But this brand is very, very, very forgiving. If you're slightly off in your mixture, it still will set up. It still will set up. Thankfully, it's very, very user-friendly. So I mix my part A and my part B in a cup, and I'm going to stir it. And it starts out looking kind of milky, and you want to stir it till it turns translucent again. I can tell my mixture's off because it's not going to get translucent. It's going to stay milky, but that's okay because I know it's going to still set up. Okay. Now when I pour, oh my gosh, I just spilled an entire 32 ounces of gator hide. Hang on guys, I have an emergency. Thankfully it landed on a paper plate. Hang on, I'm having an emergency. Okay, gator hide emergency is going to have to wait because my resin will set up. I'm going to show you guys my spill. Coffee Brandy stinks. So then I just pour it into my mold. It's a liquid, so it will self-level. I usually try to have out extra mold, so I never waste any resin. So I only needed to pour one. I actually mixed enough that I could pour two. And then I will use, and my video that I'm going to put out on Tuesday is more up close than this. I can use my popsicle stick to feed the liquid into any little crevices that might have missed. Okay, it's already starting to turn white, so I can tell that it's setting up. So I'm going to push this aside and show you guys my gator hide accident that I just had. No joke. You guys see that paper plate right there? It's full of gator hide. I need to pour it back into my container. So while my resin's setting up, I'm going to use this paper plate like a funnel and pour my gator hide back into the container, because this is no joke. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful it landed on that paper plate. I'm so grateful. I've lost some, but not all. And then I'm going to try to mop some of this up off my floor. This was a brand new container. I just opened it last night. This stuff happens. I'm just mopping it up with a brush and putting it back into the container. Thankfully, I also swept my floor last night. This is not living the dream. Collection of molds, living the dream. Cleaning up gator hide off the floor, not living the dream. Coffee Brandy, clumsy. I'm sweeping it up with my paintbrush and putting it back into the container. But that's okay because my molds are going to take about 10 minutes to set up. So while I'm sweeping up gator hide off my floor, my molds are setting up, and then I can pop them out with you guys on camera. I'm not hilarious. This is a nightmare. This really happened. True story. Like mopping your floor with a paintbrush. Thankfully my floor is clean and I'm not getting any like gunk or goo into my gator hide right now. Ugh, I can't believe I did this. This is why you never leave the lids off your paint containers, you guys, because you will walk by and forget it's there and kick it over. And thankfully I don't paint in my living room, so this isn't my carpet right now. Otherwise, you would just have a really well-preserved area on your carpet. This stuff is liquid gold. I'm trying to not waste a single drop of it. Okay, I've pretty well cleaned that up. Sorry. Now I'm going to try to get the rest of it that landed on this paper plate. Thank goodness it landed on the paper plate. That was just plain luck. So then I just used it like a funnel. Okay, so this was a brand new container. This is what I have left. That's pretty dang good. I did lose a little bit, but that's pretty dang good. I will take that any day of the week. You get paper towels. Thankfully, I had made myself a sandwich, so I've got a paper towel right here. I thought I would eat today, but that was crazy. This might be the cleanest spot on my floor now, too. Okay, this way I don't step in it and track it everywhere. So I'm just wiping it up with a paper towel. Okay, that's pretty clean. That's pretty clean right there. So stuff happens, guys. We go with the flow, right? If anything, I've learned how to go with the flow. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm going to do this. That's called a lid. Put the lid on. Nice save. That was so lucky. Okay, come back to my resin now. Can you guys see it started turning white? Let me pull my camera in closer. This is what I just poured. It started turning white right here. You guys see that? Once it turns completely white, that's how I know that it's done. See, this one started turning white. I can tell just by touching this, my mixture was a little bit off. It's a little soft. It's okay, it's still gonna set up. So this one's a little bit white. This one's setting up. It takes about 10 minutes for them to turn fully from the clear to the white. Couple tips while we're waiting. You would have made a much bigger mess. That was just luck. Best to cover it now. Put the lid on. Yeah, even the greats, Laura, have accidents. So true. So true. Okay. I put the lid on. I did put the lid on, but now I've got gator hide on my brush and I need to use it. I got all distracted by our resin pour. So I think people are intimidated by resin. I'm going to tell you guys a couple quick things. This resin is turning white. The white resin, if it's white, it's usually a fast cast resin. So this is going to set up in 10 minutes. There are resins out there that will set up in 8 hours. Do not try to use that for molds. Nobody wants to wait 8 hours for a mold to cast. This one will set up in 10 minutes. The 8-hour resin it usually will dry clear. That's how you know that it's a longer resin. And it's usually for if you want to pour like a tabletop or jewelry making or things like that. I'm going to paint over this. So the white resin that cures in 10 minutes is exactly what I need for this. So it's still turning white while my brush has, I know, you've always been afraid of resin. I think a lot of people are afraid of resin. And so I've taught a couple classes using resin now, and that's kind of my goal, is to make people less afraid of it. Dixie Belle now carries a resin. The Dixie Belle resin is the 8-hour resin. So it's a slow curing resin, great for pouring clear tabletops and things like that. But it's going to take 8 hours to make a mold out of, where this takes only 10 minutes. What brand is that? This is Amazing Casting Resin. So this is available on the shelf at the hardware store. So you guys see what I mean? How you can see the liquid in there? When I pour, I just look for, okay, I want this one to go below that line. I also want this one to go below that line. And that's roughly how I know that I've got a 1-to-1 ratio mixture. Okay. While my brush has gator hide in it, my molds are still setting up. I'm going to brush some gator hide on this wood because I actually wish I would have done it at the beginning and it would be set up. I'm going to bring you guys in a little bit closer now because I'm actually going to paint this piece tonight. I did a base coat on this last night. My base coat was just conceptualizing, but I did it on video, so I'll try to get that edited and put it out too. Not live video, I just recorded it while I was painting. Now my floor's all cleaned up and I really do need gator hide. I'm going to see what I can pull off the paper plate. I just spilled a 32-ounce container of gator hide on my floor. It miraculously landed on a paper plate. You love, love, love fast cast resin. I'm telling you, the thing I want to get people over is the stigma that resin is hard or complicated, because it does have a stigma, but it is really, really user-friendly. So I'm coating this. This is a wood grain portion here of this dresser, but I'm coating it because I want to paint around it. And if I coat this first, it will help me be able to wipe paint off that I might get onto my wood grain portion. So that's why I always will, I always do my wood grain portions first, and then I will seal them. So when I'm painting around the wood grain, if I get paint on it, I can wipe the paint off. So I always do my wood grain portions first. This one I went ahead and let, because it was just a base coat, I've got stain down here. I didn't have to worry about being as clean because I'm going to come back and paint it. This piece has so far on it, I cleaned it with White Lightning. I coated it with 2 coats of Dixie Belle Boss. It was 100% a bleeder. 100% a bleeder. My paper towels were so nasty after I cleaned this, and that's not dirt. When your paper towels keep wiping back with a hard brown, that's not dirt. That's your pieces of bleeder. What do you wipe the lid of resin after you use it? Let me show you guys something. It's a good question. I love all the questions tonight. Maybe this is just a Q&A session for everyone. Okay, what do I wipe the lids of? Nothing, because these are in their own separate bottle. As long as they stay in their own separate bottle and never commingle, nothing's gonna happen. They don't do anything. Like, these can last in their bottle, the lid can come on and off, and it doesn't get stuck until you start mixing them. That's when it creates, the chemical reaction happens when you mix these. So for example, I use these cups over and over again. There's resin inside here because I've mixed. Can you see on the outside? Like, these are pieces of resin. But as long as it stays in its own cup or its own container, nothing's gonna happen. The magic doesn't happen. They don't start setting up at all. So I don't clean the lids with anything. If you wanted to, you could wipe them with a paper towel. Another thing is I go through massive amounts of resin really quickly because I do a lot of pieces and I cast a lot of molds. So, so this little bit doesn't hardly last me anything. Let me show you guys how I order my resin now. Hang on, I have to go grab it. Okay. I order my resin now by the jug. Do you see these? This together, these are each a half a gallon. These together are a gallon of resin. Cheers. I order it from a place called Specialty Resin and Chemical. It's an industrial supply place. Hi, Peggy. This is a surprise. I'm just on my page. I'm answering a bunch of questions right now about resin. I order my resin like this. Now, this stores really well. This will last me for months, and I can store it like this, and I keep the lids on and nothing happens because they're not mixed together. So this is how I order mine. This is the craft store version. Okay, this is the craft store version. This still goes a long way. You can get a lot of molds out of this. But I started ordering mine from an industrial supply place because I go through it so quickly. So this is about $20 at a craft store or on Amazon. This is about $50. So you can kind of see there's value here in ordering it in such large quantities. And I don't have to go to the store and buy 3 different containers on it. Is the resin that you use eco-friendly? Can it go down the sink? I'm not sure why it would ever go down the sink. Number one, because I'm not going to pour these containers down the sink, the 2 sides separately. And once they're mixed together, it's going to harden and cure into like a plastic, if that makes sense. So I can't think why I would ever pour one or the other of these down the sink. Then if I've got some left over, like say my 1-to-1 ratio was slightly off and I end up with a little bit of this one left over, I'm going to leave it in the container and throw it away in the container. I still wouldn't pour it down the sink. You like my hair? I know. I got fancy for you guys today. I want you guys to know I've dressed up for you. You like that? It's definitely a shower night. So let's look at our resin that we poured. Couple things I can notice. My mold gets a little hot, and that's just the chemical reaction happening. So my mold is a little hot. This one here is almost done. This is the one I poured first. This one still has a little corner over here that's not set up yet. So you want to make sure when you pour this, because it's a liquid, that you're set your mold on a level surface. If your table is slightly off kilter, your resin's going to run out of the mold because it starts out as a liquid, so it self-levels. So, oh, you spilled on your doorstep. Okay, my gator hide is setting up on here. It's getting pretty nice and dry because it was just a thin coat on raw wood. The raw wood is porous, so it will soak up the gator hide faster than a painted surface. And my color's on the dresser behind me. I do want to paint this dresser. That's my goal tonight. I have to get a second coat on this dresser. So let me show you the colors I used. This blue here is Savannah Mist. My darker color down at the bottom, let me flip you down to the bottom, is Stormy Seas. So I've got Stormy Seas down here going into Savannah Mist. Then I've got some driftwood that goes up into driftwood, is this color right here. And then it goes up into Sawmill Gravy. So my lightest color, which is right here, is Sawmill Gravy. Sawmill Gravy is just a shade off of, see if you can see this on camera. Sawmill Gravy is just a shade off of driftwood, so they blend really, really well together, but you can still see the difference. You just did your first step of a dresser using clean strip. Okay. I let it, oops, sorry, I flipped my camera around. That's my cup. You did a second application. Sorry, I'm reading this comment, and let it sit for 20 minutes. Okay. Couple things. I'm answering this question about clean strip from Dana. Okay, couple things. Dana, recently the EPA, the federal EPA, came out and made an ingredient in harsh chemical strippers is banned. So a lot of brands, Clean Strip being one, have reformulated without this ingredient. Can't think of the name of the ingredient. So I have not used them since they reformulated. Thankfully, I bought off the shelf like every container I could find, but I'm getting close to where I'm going to have to use the gentler version. So they've reformulated. I don't know if it's less effective, so check your container and see if it's, it'll say on it, reformulated without, you know, chloral, fluoral, whatever, you know, whatever the chemical is. I can't think of the name. It says on there. That could be one reason why. Otherwise, I have never had Clean Strip or Jasco take me more than 2 applications to get a full removal of a factory finish. If it's not working, if you've still got a lot on there, more than just trace amounts, you can sand it. The trace amounts will sand off really easily. I always do it in a, it stinks, it doesn't work. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm savoring every last drop of the harsh stuff I've got. Can anyone order from the place you get the resins? Absolutely, it's on the website. In fact, there's a website called artfire.com that carries this brand, artfire.com. Or you can go to Specialty Resin and Chemical, and anyone can order it. I've searched online, and it was one of the cheapest places to get large quantities of resin, and it works good. The only thing I'll say about it is this is where you see the difference. This doesn't matter to me at all because I paint it. But the specialty resin is a little more yellow than the amazing resin. Same thing. It's also a little more brittle, I think. A little more brittle. If I were to try to bend this, it will snap. I don't want to snap this one because it's a good mold. But it has very little flexibility. It's a little more brittle, I think. but that's okay because I put it on right when I cast it. If I need it to bend, I will heat it up. You wiped it all off and sanded. Oh, I'm devastated by that. Another thing I've noticed is the harsh chemical strippers. Home Depot carries the harsher brands, but Lowe's has chosen to go all green with their strippers. Everything in California anyways. I don't know if it's the same in other states. California is all green anyways. So I can't even find the harsh stuff at Lowe's, even the reformulated version. I have to go to Home Depot for it now. Stinks because that was the most effective way to strip a piece of furniture, but you know, what can I do? So this is pretty dry. I'm going to go ahead and put a second coat of gator hide on this, my salvaged gator hide that I spilled on the floor. It's well mixed now, I'll tell you that. And then I think our molds might be set up. And then when I come around to paint this, it will be fairly dry. So if I get paint onto this wood portion, I can just wipe it. These are just really thin layers, so they dry fairly quickly. I want to open this drawer. There we go. I don't want it gathering in the crevice of my drawer. Okay, I just wanted to open my drawers a little bit off the tracks. So I don't know, if you guys are lucky enough to still find the old chemical strippers on the shelf, buy them. Buy them the heck up. If not, try the reformulated version, but I have not had to yet, so I can't tell you. Although Dana's telling me that it's not as effective. And that is going to be devastating for us furniture refinishers. I found some on clearance for like $7 a container. And I bought the last couple gallons they had. So I'm working on those right now. But I know it's coming. I've prepared myself mentally for it. I'm assuming it's going to be ineffective like Citrus Strip. Citrus Strip is great. It smells good. It doesn't burn your skin. But it doesn't work as well. It's going to take you 5 applications to strip your furniture. All right, that's 2 coats now of gator hide on there. Get caught up. You gave up using the harsh stuff. Huh. You learned to put a good base and create your own wood grain. That's a great idea too, a faux finish. You're visiting California. I'm in the Sacramento area. I say area because I'm about 20 minutes, 30 minutes out of city of Sacramento. I'm also going to come up here and just gator hide these wood details. This is stripped wood right here, and this top is stripped wood. And since I'm going to be painting around it, what is gator hide? Sorry, Krista. Gator hide is a Dixie Belle clear coat. It's like a polyacrylic, but it's their most durable clear coat. So it just brushes. I just brushed it onto that little wood section, but it's a clear coat. It's a protectant. Citrus Strip barely works. The only thing I like Citrus Strip for is I like Citrus Strip for if I have painted hardware, it will strip paint off of hardware. I like it for painted surfaces. It will take a layer of paint off without going through to the clear coat. What did Amy say? You too, Amy. You have to look back and see if it's that way in Georgia. Citrus Strip takes so many coats. So as far as I know, Amy, it's all reformulated. This isn't just California this time, although we would have done it no matter what, I'm sure. It's EPA that did it. It's the federal EPA. So it's going to mean every state has to reformulate. So run to your hardware store, like now, get off this video, go to the hardware store and see if they still have it. If it's the reformulated version, it says on the label, reformulated to not include, I can't think of the ingredient, you know, ethyl, methyl, something. Is it waterproof? Great. Wow, you guys are on fire tonight. It is water repellent. I would not say there is any clear coat that is waterproof unless you go into like marine grade finishes. So gator hide will repel water to a degree, but like any finish, go buy a dining table at, you know, RC Willey that has a factory finish on it. if you leave sitting water on anything, it's going to damage your clear coat. It's true. Think of your grandma's dining table. If you left your cup of water on the table overnight that sweated onto the table with no coaster, that finish is damaged. Same thing with gator hide. You leave water sitting for long enough, it's going to damage the gator hide. But it repels it about as much as you're going to get without going to a marine grade finish. You just ate peach pie. Don't see me. Put on your sweatpants with the elastic waistband, Amy. Go to Home Depot right now. Okay, these are our molds that we poured in the beginning. And I'm just working the silicone around the edges of my resin. It's been sitting for about 10 minutes now, maybe 30 minutes. I don't know. Time flies when you're having fun, right? And so I just work the silicone around. This one's still got flex to it, so I can tell that I messed up my mixture a little bit. But then I just pour it out. And this is a perfect resin applique. Perfect. When you first pull them out, they've got more flex, but this will slowly start to harden overnight and it's going to lose that flex. So this is the best time, if you need to attach this to a curved surface. And then it will harden like that. But once this hardens, it's harder to get that flex back. Where can you buy the plastic tubes that a lot of Dixie Belle painters use to store some of their paints? FIFO bottles. I don't use them because I go through so much paint. FIFO bottles are kind of like these, like, you know, little ketchup squirters, which a lot of people do use, the condiment containers from like the dollar store. FIFO bottles. FIFO stands for first in, first out. And you can get them on Amazon. Just do an Amazon search for FIFO, F-I-F-O, methyl chloride, methylene chloride. Okay, thank you. That's the name that I needed. I couldn't think of that. Methylene chloride. The reason that it was banned by the EPA was because some people did stripping with harsh chemical strippers in a closed space, and the fumes took some lives. And so that's why it's been banned. Now, you can't get it anymore. You can drill this. So yes. Oh, I see what you're saying. Once this is rigid and it's brittle, like these ones that are dry, if I try to drill this, I'm going to crack the mold. It's a hard plastic. Hard plastic. So it gets brittle. I drill these out when they're first cast. So I need to drill this center to put a piece of hardware through it. So I will drill this while it's still got that flexibility, and then it's not going to break. Amazon for your FIFO bottles. What glue do I put my molds on with? Tight Bond. Anybody? Wait for it. Tight Bond, quick and thick. This is my favorite. Hey Pam. Tight Bond, quick and thick. I like it because it's quick and it's thick. It sets up quickly and it's thick, so it's not going to run. You know, if you get runny glue, thin glue, it's either going to make your mold go, start migrating down the front of your piece. You can use tape on it, but then the glue can still run. But this is thick, so it stays put. It doesn't run. So this is Home Depot or Lowe's. This is a hardware store item. And it works. I told you in the beginning. Quick and thick. Quick and thick. I want to say a joke, but it's so inappropriate. So that's a hardware store item. Type On also makes a wood glue that's great, but it's a little bit thinner. It's a little bit thinner, so it doesn't set up as quickly. I know, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Back to the quick and thick. Maybe if I make a joke, it'll make you guys remember it. You have to buy that one. Yes, quick and thick. I want to say it so bad. I'm resisting because I don't want to offend anyone. So this is my resin mold. So I still need to make like 2 more of these. I think this is 4. I need 6 of them. That's the only thing that stinks is if I need multiple of one, I have to just wait for it to dry. You're snorting. I know, I want to say it. All right, let's paint, guys, for a few minutes anyways. So this piece I need to put a second coat on. Before my second coat, I take my Dixie Belle sanding sponge. It's these are from Dixie Belle, and they're they're inexpensive. They're only a couple dollars. Do it, Rebecca. Okay, here's what I would say to help you remember quick and thick. If don't be offended by this. This is what Sean would say. Just think of it. How do you like your ladies? You know, I'm never going to say that again. Totally inappropriate. One time only. We're all friends here. You never know, okay? So I try to not offend anybody. So I take my little sanding sponge. These are 220 grit, and I use them several times so they get nice and fine, and they're perfect for sanding in between coats. I've got a really smooth coat on here, but it has that gritty, kind of chalky feeling just that chalk paint gets. And this takes down any little bumps in my paint, like, I see smiley faces, not mad faces. And any like little dust particles that might have settled into my paint. That's all I'm doing here. I'm not trying to sand the paint off. I'm not trying to take out or to take it down to the wood at all. I'm not distressing. I'm just getting out any little grit in my paint. Still avoiding my gator height area. It's pretty fresh still. It's not dry yet. And it's just a single pass. I wouldn't even call it a sanding because I'm really just brushing it with this pad. Thank you for still loving me because I feel really bad for saying that. Yeah, I won't say that on camera again. Okay, so now that I've got it brushed, I can kind of put paint on. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom. This is my Dixie Belle Stormy Seas down here. And if I don't get every crevice, that's okay. Because this is just, you know, I'm not going to try to get inside this fluting or anything. So it's at the same time. Yeah, using these sponges is like night day. It really, I do use these in between every single coat. First coat, sand. Second coat, sand. Clear coat, sand. Every coat until my final gets a little fine sanding in between. There's only a 220 grit and it's really fine. And then the spongy part means that I can bend it around like this corner right here. I can wrap the corner and sand this, and then come over to my side. I feel it with my hand because if I miss any spots, I want to make sure I get them. But if you guys do this and you rub it with your hand afterwards, you're going to feel that difference. And it's a step that takes 5 minutes and it makes all the difference in the world. So then I have 5,000 brushes out. I have 5,000 brushes out. I'll show you what brushes I have. I have a whole bunch of Dixie Belle minis, the angle or the flat. Some people prefer the angle tip. I have more of the flat. I don't have one preference over the other. It's just personal preference. I probably have more of the flat. But it comes in a flat and a mini angle. So I have a whole bunch of my Dixie Belle minis out. I use these for laying paint on. These are my go-to brush for laying paint on. Then I have out a few oval mediums. This is my brush that I will blend the paint out with. So the two brushes of the Dixie Belle brushes that are everything I need in this world. You're gonna ask a salesperson at Lowe's for quick and thick. Let me know what they say. That'll be entertaining. These are my two brushes that are all I need in the world. The oval medium and the mini. These are what I'm going to use tonight. So I've got out several of these and several of these. Okay, I do. So I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to start fading this as I go up. I'm still going to avoid this area because my gator head's a little wet. I'm down to the very bottom of this container of Stormy Seas, but you know you don't waste any drip. I'm glad you guys are having fun. I'm going to have to go back later and read these comments. My mister bottle is over there. I got to roll my stool to the other side of the room. Move my camera to get my mister bottle. So in one hand, I always have a brush. In my other hand, I have my mister bottle. Do I wipe with a rag? Yes. So you want to get your sanding dust off because it does no good to dust it and then paint with sanding dust in your piece. So all I do for that is I need a rag. Okay, so what I wipe my sanding dust with is I usually have a rag always next to me. You need snacks. I need a snack too. My coffee crash is happening. So I just take my rag and then I take my mister bottle and I'll spray it. I don't want it soaked. I'll spray it just enough to become kind of a tack cloth. It's just damp. They're $2.20 grit from Dixie Belle with the sanding sticks. I think they're like $2 or something. And then this just lays off that little bit of dust that I just created. That's all I'm doing. I'll show you guys my rag after I'm done. This is Brush by Brandy, the after hours version. This is how I really paint. So you can see I've got a little bit of blue in here. That's just the dust from my paint, the sanding dust. I'm going to get off my stool because I'm working so low. Even my stool is a little bit too tall for this. So then on a second coat, my second coat is always really, really thin. I'm not going to try to read my comments anymore because I can't keep up, guys. It's really thin. I sprayed my surface first. I use very little paint on a second coat. I'm going to need another container of Stormy Seas. It's just a really thin coat. Let me dig it in here to this mold. And all I'm doing here is I'm going to perfect the base coat that I've got on top of it. I keep my paint really wet. And it's almost like a skim coat over top. I don't need it for coverage. I'm using my second coat to just clean up and perfect my first coat. So this is where I perfect my brush strokes. That thin layer of paint with the water. And Dixie Belle is self-leveling. So it's really, for the most part, it does a lot of the work for you. If you give it a good solid start with a thin coat and some water, it's going to self-level. And that's how you get like minimal brush strokes. Really thin layer of paint. Not so much water that it's dripping, but just enough. Dixie Belle has great coverage. A little bit goes a long way. I'm going to get a little more paint. I use barely any paint on a second coat. I'm mostly painting with water. So when I'm blending, I'm going to take the point of my Stormy Seas up a little higher than I want it, so that I've got some paint up here that I can work into the Savannah Mist. More water than paint. Not so much that it's drippy though. Then you're using too much water. And then I'm going to open up my Savannah Mist. Yeah, that's the right color. I'm going to start a second brush. I set this brush on the container, so when I go back to use it, it's sitting on top of the container. My camera up a little too high. I'll show you guys the floor. So now you'll see me switching back and forth in between brushes. So my next color up from here is Savannah Mist. So same thing. More water than paint. And then I'm going to start just working it straight into the Stormy Seas. They're both wet. My paint has not started to set up. So I'm just brushing over this line right here. Another thing you can do is if you swirl that line together, that pulls some of the Savannah Mist down, the Stormy Seas up, and then I can clean up that line with horizontal brush strokes. I'm just cleaning up the swirls I just made. But it pulls those two paint colors together a little bit more. so you don't end up with a definitive line. It gets rid of the line because you've just swirled it out. And I want to make sure my transition is nice and wide, that I'm not trying to keep it super thin. Keeping it some water in there. But the super thin is where you get the line from, you know, the blending line. And then I'm going to come back with my Savannah Mist. So that's just a simple like ombre blend. Now I'm using a really soft, light hand, and I'm just feathering those two into each other. This is a really light hand, barely any pressure on my brush. I'm pretty happy with that. How's that look on camera? That's nice and soft, right? Okay, so then it fades another time into driftwood. So now I'm going to open up my driftwood. I get another brush going. My Savannah Mist is still wet. I'm going to get close to this wood section, but I don't want to quite paint in here yet because my gator hide's still too wet for me to wipe the wood. I don't want to get paint on it, is what I'm saying. And same thing I just did with those two colors, and now I'm going to do the gray into the Savannah Mist. So that's 3 colors in a really, really, really soft blend. It's really pretty. Okay, now I'm going to work these sides because I carried the Stormy Seas up the side a little bit. Give myself some water and carry that paint up. I'm getting it a little bit onto the edge of my drawer here. And then this paint is still wet. I'm going to take a clean, dry brush, my oval medium, and just darken up this side a little bit with my oval medium. I'm just feathering it in, and I dry it on my apron. My apron is just a towel that I can wear, and I'm sorry I'm not reading my comments, you guys. So I just darkened the side up a little bit. I'm going to darken it a little bit more. I want it to be noticeable that that's the Stormy Seas going up. And I just work one small section at a time. I'm not up here trying to work everything. I'm just doing one small section at a time. A little bit of water. I'm just feathering that in. See, I'm painting more with water than paint on this second coat, because the water is enough to reactivate the paint. Just a very, very thin little mist. And I can smooth out the brush strokes. So let's go up a little bit. What do you think? Does it look okay? Let me go back and try to read some comments really quick. What is the half moon window thing? It's wood. So this, I stripped it down to wood, and then I have this gradient finish. I did all with Voodoo gel stains. So I've got Black Magic is the dark here, Tobacco Road, and a little bit of Up in Smoke over the wood. So you still see the warmth of the wood color, but it gives this gradient look. And you still see the grain because the Voodoos are translucent. Hey, Tina. So that's how I got that look. I'll answer questions after I get off. I'll come back on and read questions because I'm having a hard time painting and keeping up with my comments. So I'm going to do this drawer next. I'm going to actually pull it out because I can see where my blended lines are, I don't need to keep my drawer in anymore. So I'm going to pull this drawer out a little bit. My drawers are a little off the track. So I can come in here. I'm going to get right up to this wood detail. This is driftwood. And up onto the top of my drawer. Okay, and I'm going to get underneath this too, because I can see this is just solid driftwood. It's not blended into anything. Right up to that wood grain detail. And I'll come back and do this center portion in a minute. But I'm just focusing on one area at a time. So I can see right here, I'm not caring for this area as it's starting to dry. What is the colors? Stormy Seas, of course, my favorite. Savannah Mist, Driftwood is what I'm working in right now. Up a little higher, I have some Sawmill Gravy. I'm going to pull this drawer out. Yeah, that one came out easier. And I'm going to do the same thing. This is Driftwood. Now this starts blending into the Sawmill Gravy, which I don't have a brush for yet, but I'm trying to work up this side. So I'm just giving myself a little bit of driftwood to work with, and then I'm going to start working it in. Can't blend dry paint. If your paint's too dry, it's going to start sticking. This is Savannah Mist. The Savannah, or the blues start fading out on this piece as I go up to the top. So I'm fading my blues out right now into the gray. And then my Stormy Seas. Sorry if my head's in the way. Super soft hand. I'm just feathering this in. And then I will take my clean dry brush and just feather them together. Super soft hand. Kind of a dry brush technique. I'm just using it to blur out those transitions. Little bit of water so my brush doesn't stick, because that's where you get brush strokes from. I'm going to redo this little corner right here because it's not working for me. So I just add a little bit of water, just enough to reactivate the paint, and then I can brush through it again. Keeping my brush clean and dry on my apron. Can't see my comments. Sorry guys, I will catch up in a few. Okay, so I've just done this kind of area right here, and I like it so far. I'm going to let it dry, and I'm going to come up and I'll start working my way around, and I'll end up over there. Thank you, Deborah. She likes it. I showed it to my customer and she liked it. Okay, I'm not too far behind. Cool. Let's go up. Okay, so now we're gonna come up, and I've got my driftwood that fades into Sawmill Gravy. So I'm gonna open my Sawmill Gravy and get a brush for it going. And this one's almost empty too. I've got barely any paint in there. And it gets its own brush. So I've got now 4 colors going, 4 brushes going, plus my clean dry brush. Okay, I'm going to pop up onto my knees now. Okay, I'm going to start here. This has some Sawmill Gravy going around here. I'm going to put that on. See, I just got paint onto my... This brush is a little crusty. I need to wash it better. I'm not going to use that one. Okay, so I'm going around this detail with a steady hand. I'm going to fill in this crevice right here with paint. So if I get a little bit, but I don't want it going out onto this circle. got a little bit. So I'm going to darken that crevice when I'm done, but right now I'm not there yet. So now I'm going to start just working in the sawmill gravy into driftwood. Little bit of water. Super steady hand. I'm just going around this oval because I don't want to get any paint inside there. Okay. So that gave me some sawmill gravy to work with. And now I'm going to work it into my driftwood. My driftwood is still nice and wet. Being really careful to try to not go into that this wood stain portion in the middle. And then down here, I'm working it back into a little bit of the Savannah mist. Just a little bit on the very edge. I don't want to lose it. And this is my clean dry brush. I'm just softening up this edge again. And give myself a little bit more Stormy Seas. Very little paint. I'm not even picking up paint. I'm just using what's already on my brush. My second coat is mostly painting with water. Okay, I got a little bit of paint here, and that's why I put that gator hide on in the beginning. I thought that's for my crickets. No, the crickets are coming out. You guys want to see? It's dark out. But I love it. That gives me like a nice breeze. Ginger will come in and out. She must be inside right now though, because I haven't seen her. So I'm going to take my rag. I'm going to wet a little corner while my paint is still wet and just wipe this little bit off. I'm not rubbing because this gator hide is really fresh, but just that little bit of water and this being sealed is enough. I just was able to clean that edge off so it's nice and clean. So I like this corner right here. Let's start focusing up here. Now up here, number one, my wood isn't sealed, so I need to be careful of this. Will there be a business section at Atlanta? Yes, Vicki. Dude Dodson is teaching a little bit of classes to do with business. Now, if you were a Dixie Belle retailer, by no means is the Bells and Bow Tour a replacement for the Retailers Conference in Florida. I would not substitute it for the Retailers Conference. The Retailers Conference has far more to do with the business end because it's a Retailers Conference. It's all retail. The Bells and Bow Tour has a mix. The Retailers Conference has a mix too because there are paint demonstrations going on too. And hands-on paint classes. But you're going to get far more to the business side in the Retailers Conference than you do in the Bells and Bow Tour. Bells and Bow Tour has a lighter mix, heavier on the painting side, if that helps. Okay, so I just got some Savannah mist up here. Let's put some driftwood into sawmill gravy. I'm getting on my stool, my knees are hurting. All right, this is why I have two stools, because now I'm graduating up to my taller stool. These are our molds that we poured. I'm going to pop my second one out. My mixture was a little bit off, so it took longer to set up, but it's still set up. I'm a miracle worker. No, not really. I could do, if I wasn't on camera, I could put a coat on this whole piece in like half an hour to 45 minutes. A blended coat on this. But I'm trying to explain, and I'm working in smaller sections and probably not as quickly as I would otherwise. So I gave myself, my Savannah mist is wet. I'm going to give myself a little bit of driftwood going up here under this lip. A little bit of driftwood. Let's work those two together. I'm never trying to work more than 2 colors together at a time. Sometimes I get into 3. This is my clean dry brush. I'm just going to feather these together. I hear Sean, guys. He's coming out here to join us.
Oh, I'm not coming to join.
Yeah, he's coming to take over the show.
It's a hostile takeover.
Okay, no, so that is my, I'm going to swirl it a little bit because I want to pull those colors together a little bit more. I use my camera like a mirror sometimes. I like that transition a little bit better. Now, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between sawmill gravy and driftwood on camera. There are super slight variants, but it's really a great color combination to blend because they're so close. You just get a little shade different. It's really pretty. Sean's hiding.
Oh, I'm not hiding. I just... Hi all. I just happened to see some photos posted.
Oh, he's been to my page. He's been to my page. Go to my page, you guys, if you want to see what Sean looks like. Still looks like to this day.
Yeah, carbon copy.
Yeah. I posted our high school senior photos. He loves it. He's thrilled about it. You can tell. Okay, so this is the sawmill gravy. I'm going to blend it into that driftwood we put on. Whoops. So I use my apron like a rag. I'm drying my brush off. It starts picking up paint and moisture and I want to keep it clean and dry. These 2 paints are wet, so I can just, like a feather duster, just feather those together. That's sawmill gravy into driftwood, into Savannah Mist, all in that little spot. I have to be that brave because we looked way better then. Are you kidding me? I want to show those pictures. This girl's tired and old. Now my sawmill gravy brush and my driftwood brush are barely any different, so I have to keep them separated. Do you have a question for me?
No.
Or you just came to hang?
No, I just,
Pick up a brush.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got a brush hair in there. My coffee's fading. I haven't eaten yet, so
I'm checking out this delicious sandwich sitting here.
I think my sandwich has
I think it's about to grow legs and walk away.
Rigor mortis is set in on my sandwich over there.
It's not coming to this guy.
Super pretty. Let's see. I'm using it like a mirror and I see this is a line. And it will dry that way. I'll see it more once it's dry. So I'm going to... If you need to, record yourself on video because I'm telling you, having that... Your camera as a mirror can help you just see things a little bit differently. What should we bring with us to Atlanta for the workshops? Okay, here's my top tips. Bring your brushes. If you guys have good brushes, for my classes, I've negotiated 1 class set of brushes, of the Dixie Belle brushes, but it's only 1. They're hard to come by because Dixie Belle is a small company. They don't make them in mass quantities and they're expensive. So I have 1 class set, but if you guys come with your own, you will not regret having your own brushes. There's bathrooms and stuff you can wash them out in. Bring an apron. Bring an apron. You're gonna paint. Wear paint clothes. Don't wear your Sunday best. You're coming to paint. We get dirty, we get messy, we have fun. If you're still clean at the end, then you did something wrong. So those are my 3 suggestions. A mister bottle. Some of the classes, like I've tried to make sure mine have a mister bottle, but some won't and you might want one. So I would say those are my best suggestions, is bring your brushes, a mister bottle, an apron, paint clothes. My clean dry brush, I'm feathering those together. Those are pretty colors, huh? I love this straw right here. Not sure about this. I'm going to let it dry and I'll feel it out if I still like it. Your Sunday best. Yeah, don't wear that. You're not there to impress anybody. We're all going to be equally messy. I will be wearing my overalls, I'm sure. Although I have a nicer pair that doesn't have holes in them. I'm going to get around this oval now, coming to the other side. Trying to think at the same time if there's anything else to bring. I mean, we make sure you guys have scissors and things like that for classes, but apron, paint clothes. I don't know, anyone else who's been, do you guys have anything that you were glad you brought? Oh, an extra bag for taking home stuff if you're flying, or bring an extra bag or room in your luggage to bring projects home. Hi, Nano. We have a visitor. Who's that? It's my 5-year-old Logan. Our bras are mandatory. Lord, Sheila, put yourself away. They aren't mandatory, but we would prefer them. So can I tell you guys a story since we're talking about bras? When I went to New Jersey, I wore a sports bra on the plane, right? For comfort, because I was flying, you're traveling. It was a full travel day for me. I wore a sports bra on the plane and I forgot to bring another one. So I was stuck working in a sports bra, but like it gets sweaty in there. Hey Hilda! Do it, story time. So I had to wear a sports bra all weekend and it sucked. Because I was working and like it gives you uniboob. So I had uniboob and like sweaty all weekend. And it stunk, but I forgot to bring a regular one. So bring another bra. Don't just wear a sports bra. It wasn't funny, Sheila. It really sucked. Keeping it real here at Brush by Brandy. Keeping it real. So this is the Savannah Mist. I'm going to work this into the driftwood. I got my driftwood and my sawmill gravy work together. I know that, but it's true. That's really what happens, right? You travel with a sports bra, but you don't want to wear it all the time. I wasn't doing any jogging. That's for darn sure. All right, so now we're gonna go down low. I'm going back to my other stool and we'll work down to this side and then I'm done with my front. 3 times longer than, so I'm gonna get off before I do the sides because this is taking me way too long. Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess it's true. You don't have the, yeah, no, don't free the sisters, but if you're, you know, heavier chested, then you understand. Like, the struggle is real, ladies. I feel the pain. I didn't have this problem until I had 3 kids, and then all of a sudden, I was the preteen girl I wished I'd always been. So I'm carrying my Stormy Seas up a little bit. And then I'm going to blend it out into Savannah Mist. As I come up here, very little paint, more water and paint. Clean dry brush to work them together. Ta-da! Beautiful. Dry it off on my apron. Dana, what did you say? Quick and thick. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna totally get in trouble for this. Brush by Brandy is signing out of this conversation right now. You can see where it's going. Okay, I'm going around my little half moon detail. In here is solid driftwood, so I don't have to worry about blending. If I come back and touch this up later, it's going to be the same color. So I need to come in here and I'm probably going to need an artist brush to do it. To get around this detail into my applique that I made. These are resin appliques. We talked about those at the beginning of the video. But it's not blended, so I can come back and I can do this part later and not worry that it's not going to match. Because everything going into it is pure driftwood. It may look different when it's wet, but it's going to dry the same color. So I'm just focusing on my blended sides. Let's see. I need a little bit of driftwood right here. So I'm coming back, even though I've already done some of this, but I'm going to feather this in. So it's all one and the same. That was driftwood. I'm going to give myself a little bit of Savannah Mist. Because when I laid these on, I didn't work this side. If I wasn't on camera, I would have. I don't prefer to do it this way. I would have done this whole drawer sitting in front of it, and I would have done both sides going up at the same time. But then I block you guys on camera. You guys can't see what I'm doing. So my clean dry brush and Stormy Seas. So now I'm going to blend it to the bottom where my Stormy Seas is. Yeah, definitely don't prefer doing it this way because I may end up having to redo this drawer now because I did it. I tried to piecemeal it. I'm not that talented. And I want it to look the same as that side. I don't like that side either. I'm not happy with it. I'm going to come back and redo that side. I don't like this right here. I'm going to fix it. So that's part of just letting your paint dry, seeing what you like and what you don't like. The reason I don't like it, I like this side better. I tried to carry the Stormy Seas up onto the side of the drawer. It doesn't work. I don't like it. That's part of the conceptualization process. I'll figure out, oh, I don't like that blend there. I need to soften it. I need to whatever. So I'm going to take it out of that side too because I like this side better. Look, sitting back looking at this piece. And then this should be pure Stormy Seas. Pure, beautiful Stormy Seas. My favorite color in the Dixie Belle line. Hands down, always has been, always will. We go way back. All right, guys, we just blended the whole front of that in 3 times longer than it would take me normally. I'm gonna get off. You've seen me, we made resin molds tonight. I spilled gator hide all over the floor. We gave a surprise to Sue Oles for her birthday. She's going to the Bells and Bow tour. We announced that tonight, and I painted the whole front of this dresser. This girl's tired. I've got a sandwich over there screaming my name. I'm gonna get off. I'll answer any questions I miss when I come back on. Thanks for hanging out with me though, you guys. I will talk to you later. I probably won't be live again until Thursday on the Dixie Belle page. I didn't even crack my screen. Lynn, you need to go. Sheila and Lynn, if anybody needs to be in Atlanta, start a GoFundMe page. I throw $5 into that. I know, so generous. All right, guys, have a good night. Okay, happy, what's today, Sunday? Happy Veterans Day tomorrow, you guys. You guys, thank everyone who's served. Thank you for your service. Sincerely, thank you for your service. And have a happy Veterans Day and celebrate all the veterans in your life tomorrow. Bye.